This is All Because You Matter, and this is the book of my heart. I'd like to talk a little bit about the process of how this book came to be. And honestly, this book came to me in a dream, which I think most writers would say every time we have a dream about a book and we wake up, the dream is gone, all the words are gone. But this particular book, I dreamt of every single word from start to finish. And the words came to me almost like a lullaby, which told me that I needed to write this book as a poem. But in addition to the words that came to me, it was the art that I saw in my dream. And when I woke up, I knew that the artist for this book was destined to be the one and only Bryan Collier. I knew that he could bring my inspiration to life. So, speaking of my inspiration, what brought me to write this book? Honestly, it was the moment I became a mom. I have a 10-year-old son. His name is Christopher. Actually, that's him on the cover. He's so excited that he gets to be in a book. But I became a mom 10 years ago, and I remember feeling this strong urge to protect him and to shield him from just everything bad. And as he grew older, as he entered school, he started to ask me questions. And these questions would stem from discussions that he would have in class. It may have stemmed from things that he would see on television or online. And most importantly, conversations that he would overhear. My son is very nosy, just like most children. But these questions that he would have, they were real questions. Questions about Dr. King and why was he assassinated. He learned who Tami Charles was, and he had lots of questions about that. And the mom in me, I wanted to keep him innocent forever. I did not want to answer these questions. I did not want to have these conversations about the injustices that were going on in communities of color and against marginalized people. But I knew that as he got older, these questions would only get worse. He would only have more and more questions. So for me, time was up. I knew that I needed to find a gentle way to put in words all of the feelings that I had bottled up for much of his life. I knew I needed a way to get the words out. And he was still too young to read certain stories in the young adult space. I knew I had to write him a picture book, which led me to my purpose. My purpose for All Because You Matter, I would say that it is twofold. At its heart, this is a love letter to my son, my beautiful brown-eyed. I love the way Bryan captures his eyes. It's just spot on. My beautiful son, Christopher, is special. He's a special boy. He is multifaceted. He's talented. He's athletic. He's all of these great things wrapped into one kid. But he's not the only kid that's like that. So I knew that this was the type of book that, in addition to it being a love letter to my child, it would be a love letter to all children, to remind them of all the ways that they matter and why they're so special to us as parents and caregivers. But I also knew that my purpose for this book was to use it as a conversation starter, really for anyone who deals with children, parents, teachers, librarians, caregivers. I want this book to serve as a way to begin to start those talks, to begin those difficult questions that children will have, most certainly. Something that tells them about all the good things in the world, but the not so good things too. And that kind of leads me to the wish that I have for this particular book. Now, all authors wish, that their books will get in everyone's hands. Of course, I want this book to be in everyone's hands. But my wish is that Families will take the time to have those uncomfortable conversations, yet necessary conversations with their children, especially today, particularly today, as injustices continue. This is not the time to be silent. This is the time for us to all come together and remind our children our most special gifts of all the ways that they matter. But on top of that, it's really important that we all come together and serve as allies. We need to be active examples of what respect looks like. I think we need to continue to show children their self-worth and just continuously remind them of the greatness that they have inside and continuously remind them of all the moments that matter. So at this time, I'm going to pass it over to Bryan. And Bryan, I can't thank you enough for doing the art of this book. I will never, ever, ever forget your kindness and your gift. Thank you so much, Bryan.
Hi, my name is Bryan Collier, and I'm the illustrator of All Because You Matter, written by Tami Charles. Special shout out to the Scholastic family that are promoting and telling this story all over the world and globally. And thank you for all your support as well. Now, this book is about a mother's and a family's anticipation and excitement around the birth of their new child and the journey their son will take once he arrives. And in this text, the author, Tami Charles, expresses a universal message of hope and love and dream that she has for her son that hasn't arrived yet into this world. And she notes that your ancestors fought hard and they made a special place just for you, all because you matter. And with a cautionary tone inside of it, she notes that there's a possibility that there'll be days that you'll be treated unfairly. There'll be moments when you're totally misunderstood, but don't worry, because you do know that you matter. What a wonderful message that she's putting out into the world. This book is a celebration to all children everywhere, especially Black and brown boys and their parents and educators. And All Because You Matter is a great way to have conversation about what's happening in our world around us. What happens to the idea of a kid being bullied or the brutalization of marginalized people and the abuse. This is a great conversation that you can have and use this book as an entree to this very important topic. Now, All Because You Matter is painted in watercolor and collage. And then as the illustrator, what I did is I started with a single petal shape and I built a background with just these shapes shaped like petals. And you can see that in the end papers when you first open the book of the nighttime starry sky. They start off with petals and I build upon it and then layer upon layer and layers. As the story unfolds, you get a chance to see these petals that transform into faces and voices of our ancestors. They change form as they build wallpaper images and rugs and backgrounds for this particular story. And these voices are like cheerleaders for the boy, making space for his importance and responsibility. There's a page where the boy is full frontal with his eyes closed and there are stripes across his face. The stripes represent the oceans and rivers that connect us all, that connect us to our past and our ancestors. And there's another page that you turn where the boy's eyes are wide open. And remember those petal shapes? Well, in the background, the petals are faces and colors and textures and voices of the ancestor cheering this boy on, reassuring him that you truly matter. That's his awakening. And then the next page, it goes on to a full family of hands holding these petals in a nighttime sky in the background. Well, that's the responsibility that we have to us. It's a universal theme. We're all responsible for each other. If we all matter, then we all need to help one another. And that thread goes throughout this particular text that was so, so powerful. As we go on into the text, it kept moving me and jarring me in so many different ways as a father, as a husband, and our children that we're bringing into the world, and how can we shore them up so they'll be tough enough and wise enough to encounter whatever they're going to be encountering in the world, and we be there to support them. That is so important. Now, when we get to the end of the book, this was the mind-blowing part for me. It's the image of a family in the middle, and there's a circle of community, of love that encompasses this family. They're all holding hands, and this one family, even the boy, is in the middle. And I said, wait a minute. We read this book to our child, but it can't stop there. No one will be let off the hook. At a certain point in time, that child, that young person, has to read this book back to their parents or their teacher or their guardian or their librarian. And they have to look them right in the eye and say, mother and father or teacher or librarian, all because you matter, I'm here. ... It doesn't let anybody off the hook. It's a circle. It's not a straight line. This is a circle that's being built, that's unbroken, and it goes around and around and around. And that's the power of all because you matter. Thank you.